Greetings, seekers of knowledge, and welcome to another episode of Embracing the Paradox, home of the deranged, the supernatural, and all things that go bump in the night. True crime, urban lore, we have it all for you right here. I, of course, am Distal Marrow, your trusty guide into parts unknown, and I'm asking you, once again, to let me take you on a journey. If this is your first time visiting and you'd like to support the show, please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Today, we're discussing what you may know as the Alley Man murders. Brutal traveling serial killer, multiple killers, or supernatural murderous monster. Let's dig deeper. 5 states, 9 different families. In each case, everyone inside the house at the time was so brutally taken apart that responding officers at one scene believed they were arriving to an animal attack. In each case, the bodies of the victims were discovered by a family member, often the sole survivor of the terrible massacre. Laura Robertson in Nashville, Frank Tarleton in St. Louis, Deandra Jackson's in New Orleans. In every instance, they entered what was supposed to be a safe domestic haven, only to find the pits of hell. The FBI believes the murders are the work of a serial killer, and a particularly devious one at that. Per Special Agent Jefferson Lang, these murders were coordinated in such a way so as to ensure that at least one member of the target family would be away from the home at the time of the attacks. Authorities believe each family was meticulously targeted over a period of weeks, potentially even months, as the perpetrator obsessively studied their routines, learning the comings and goings of every single family member. In the case of the Dobbs family in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that meant studying the routines of 8 different people, including 6-year-old Brittany Dobbs, an aspiring dancer and lover of butterflies, as well as her older brother, 14-year-old Joe Dobbs, a video game enthusiast who hoped to one day become a veterinarian. Authorities believe Brittany and Joe were the last ones to arrive home that day before the horror struck. It was the sad fate of mother, Erica Dobbs, to return home from her late shift as an ER doctor at St. Luke's Hospital to discover her husband John and children so brutally taken apart. She later told police, "Not even I and an entire team of my colleagues could have saved a single one of them." Intestines reeled across the kitchen floor, limbs severed and strewn about. Little Brittany Dobbs's head and left foot, the foot that allowed her to perform such beautiful pirouettes, were never recovered. Not only are the circumstances horrific, but the crimes themselves defy logic. How does one person dedicate the time and resources needed to stalk entire families across multiple states? What kind of money and resources are necessary? Just as mystifying, in nearly every case there were no signs of forced entry or any indication at all of how the killer entered the home. None of the victims were restrained. The murders appear to have been carried out in a brutal blitz style, timed to immobilize multiple victims in rapid succession. It's easy to understand why rumors spread so quickly, especially as police in multiple states and eventually the FBI placed a media blackout on information related to the case. Was this the work of a rich socialite protected by the highest echelons of the government? An Epstein List rogue gone Jack the Ripper? Or was it the work of a dedicated cult, as many true crime devotees suspected? Authorities thought they had their answer when they arrested David Burke of Dallas, Texas, an engineer whose wife and daughters were the latest victims of the attacks. The quote, "weird guy in the neighborhood," as one neighbor put it, Burke was just wrong enough to fit the bill. Introverted, socially maladjusted, unpopular at work, with what colleagues described as a Walter White level understanding of science and technology. Burke started to seem like Dwight Schrute with some dark secrets. He also apparently frequently traveled for work. Did this spooky learner travel the country cutting a swath of terror while hiding behind an unassuming science geek facade? That was what the Dallas County District Attorney was ready to argue before he and the FBI came up against an unexpected new road bump: Martha Chase, defense attorney to Texas's richest oil families and herself a survivor of the Alleyman. That's because Martha Chase was returning home after picking up her 13-year-old son, Jeremiah, from an unplanned detention when the two of them walked into a suburban slaughterhouse. Martha's husband and daughter brutally killed in the same heinous manner. But here's the catch. Was Martha Chase up from Houston to watch the trial of the man being blamed for her family's murder? No, listeners, here's yet another twist in the pretzel-shaped saga of the Alleyman. Martha Chase traveled all the way up from Houston to Dallas to defend David Burke, serving as his pro bono defense counsel. Why, you ask? What could possibly have motivated a woman to throw everything over to try to protect the man accused of killing both her family and his own? Because, according to Martha, David wasn't just innocent. She'd learned who the real Alleyman was. Martha was one of 3 survivors who claims to have actually seen the Alleyman. Martha agreed to defend David after he offered up a description that matched Martha's almost to a T. All of the witnesses describe him as a man made of shadows, who seemed to not be wearing black clothes, but be made entirely out of blackness. The kind of man you wouldn't want to run into in a dark alley. The Alleyman. With David's powerful testimony and Martha's expert defense combined, authorities finally took the witnesses' descriptions seriously. After 5 days of testimony, the judge declared a mistrial. Charges were dismissed and a twisted love story began. Within 6 weeks of David's acquittal, he and Martha were wed in a private ceremony in Dallas, where the two are still living with Martha's son. Martha shuttered her practice to focus on writing her memoir and continue her hunt for the Alleyman. People have called her crazy, saying David is obviously the real killer and that Martha is not only in denial, but risking her child's life by raising him with a murderer. Still others believe that Martha is the real culprit, trying to deflect blame from herself. Another theory is that there is no Alleyman, that he's the boogeyman of the internet age, and multiple unconnected people have used him as a shield for their own crimes. With no additional murders in the 2 years since David's arrest, questions linger. Who was the Alleyman? Is he still out there, and will he strike again? I have reached out to David and Martha for comment, but have yet to hear back. David, Martha, if you are watching, we would love to hear from you. And now is my favorite part of the show. We are going to take some calls from our premium listeners to hear your theories and feedback. All right, our first caller today is DJ Deep Thrust. All right, DJ, you're on live with Embracing the Paradox. What do you think of the Alleyman?
Hi, it's me. I guess my only real question is, do these murders, do they only happen in houses or because I live in an apartment and I'm wondering if I'm safe because I live in apartments.
Right, that's a very valid concern. I do believe that the majority of the murders happened in houses, but who knows?
Okay, well, okay, so like majority. So you're saying a small number of them happen in apartments.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I think you're probably safe, but we never know. We always want to remain vigilant, for
Yeah, if you
sure.
can get back to me on that with an actual number, that'd be awesome.
Of course.
Okay.
We'll look into that. I hope that I don't have to do an episode on you soon.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for calling. Let's move on to our next caller. Okay, we have Murder Mommy. You're on live with Embracing the Paradox.
Hi, it's so great to see you, to call in.
I'm happy to hear from you.
So I just wanted to say that I think the love story between Martha
and David?
Martha and David
Yes.
is beautiful, and I was wondering, is there a way for me to get, how do I get with a guy in jail who can protect me, who's murdered people so that I won't be murdered?
Oh my. Well, I can never really recommend dating a murderer, or anyone in jail, even perhaps, but I do know that you're able to send people letters. Maybe you can go through the registry and see if anybody strikes your fancy.
Okay, perfect. I'll definitely be doing that.
That may be a little bit too enthusiastic about the crime, though.
Well, if they're with me, they won't murder me. They'll just murder everybody else.
Right.
I'll be safe.
Oh, um, okay. You know what? I'm going to DM you my private email. I know some guys I could maybe set you up with, like, to avoid, dating murderers. Let's try something else out first, right? All right. Well, thank you so much for calling. And that is our show for today. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you subscribe, and I hope to see you next week. Bye.